So, of course, this is the Speakeasy podcast where we talk about the behind the scenes of the speaker and author journey. Today is all about the international speaker. What does that feel like? What does that look like? And what is really included in that journey? And, in talking to our guest for today, I was saying that, there's a little bit of, we were talking about how sometimes you just got to ask and you got to believe. And a lot of times we think that it takes so much more than what it really does take. It starts with you asking and believing. So I'm excited because I've gotten to watch this next guest for almost 3 years now, watching her journey, watching her accomplishments. And it's been an amazing feeling because I'd love to celebrate, especially celebrating other women who are doing amazing things. And so being able to celebrate her and have her on as a guest today, it just warms my heart. So I want to say, hey, Shadé.
Thank you for having me on. I am happy to be here. It warms my heart to be here. So I'm just so excited to share with your audience today.
Awesome. So I want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive right into our topic for today.
So my name is Shadé, and I am a digital brand strategist, and my goal is to help entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, and coaches teach what they know and get paid well for it. So today we're talking about speaking. So I want you to be a well-paid speaker. And that's super important so that you can get your message out there. You have a mission to transform and change lives. And mission-driven people deserve to be well compensated. So I love talking about the PayPal bling, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, that PayPal is the thing, because that's the part that means that we're getting paid. I know some people may be new to the whole idea of the PayPal bling because, they may have a book on Amazon or something. So they may not know that whole idea of the PayPal bling.
PayPal,
but look,
Stripe, Sing, whichever way your payment processor, we want that thing to make some noise.
Exactly. And that has been one of the reasons why I love watching Shadé, is because no matter what, every message that she brings, every time she comes to you with an event, with a speech, it's always going to be, listen, the bottom line is, are you getting paid? Are you getting paid? And are you getting paid right? Because that's a huge piece of it. So when we were talking about being the international speaker, that is something that you have become and are, and you do an amazing job at it. How did it start? What was the first thing for you to being that international speaker?
So that's a really great question. Most people don't know that I actually started my business internationally. I used to live in the Republic of Kazakhstan. I know, random, things happen. And I was living in former Central Asia, former Soviet Union. And people were asking me questions about my experience. How did you get to former Russia? How did you do this? And how did you do that? So I actually turned that experience into a blog because I was 5,000 miles away from my family, and people wanted to just make sure I was okay because I was in a country with the name Stan in the early teens of 2011 to 2011 to about 2014. So people were concerned and they just wanted to make sure I was okay. So I turned that into a blog and leveraged that platform. And a month before I left my job, I started my business online. And I started out internationally. Most people don't. And that was not my intention. I took a leap of faith. I had an opportunity came, and that's another thing. This is another golden nugget. The way that I got overseas was there was an opportunity to teach. I'm trained as an educator. I was in graduate school, and this opportunity came for us to teach at another school and develop it internationally. I just thought it was going to be in Jersey. I didn't realize it was going to be in Kazakhstan. So that's another thing. You have to be ready. So that opportunity, that job prepared me to be on international stages because I had a passport. So step one of how you go international, get ready and get your passport because you never know when an opportunity is going to come to you. So while I was there, I'm connecting with diplomats. I'm connecting with people from other countries. I'm connecting with people who have nonprofit organizations and schools and things overseas. And they're telling me, hey, can you come to my school? Hey, can you talk to my community about what you're doing? And then when I would come back to the United States, I would come at least every 6 months to 3 months, depending on the time frame. And then they would ask me questions. Oh, what was your experience? Can you tell us about it? We want to know. So through me taking that leap of faith to take that job 5,000 miles away from anybody who looked like me, spoke like me, knew anything about me, turned into an international business and an international speaking opportunity. So now that I'm back in the U.S. full time, opportunities are coming. I'm like, I have this travel bug. That opportunity allowed me to travel to about 24 countries during that time frame, during about a 3-year time frame. So I was already used to traveling a ton and going to different places and cultures. So that opens me up. That opened up my Rolodex of opportunities, because right now I have friends and colleagues from around the world. So if I really wanted to be like, okay, I need to speak, I need to go here, there are literally people in different countries that I can connect with. And because I have an international Rolodex, they know other people too. So that's another golden nugget. Expand your Rolodex of people internationally and locally. Get that passport, because you're putting it out there that you want to do something internationally, but you got to have a passport. That's the way you enter other places. Number 2 is to expand that Rolodex of people, because you never know what people are doing. The way that I started, and you got to create content and put yourself out there. That's like the next golden nugget. The way that I started, so I came back to the U.S., coming as a speaker, starting my business. So now I'm understanding that, okay, you got to be compensated for the things that you do. So of course you want to have books, you want to have things to sell. And then there's other opportunities. And what ended up happening, I was live streaming. Live streaming has been powerful. Okay. You can be in somebody's home and they're watching from Russia. They're watching from Costa Rica. They're watching from South America. You don't know who's watching you. And I was sharing that I wanted to go back overseas and start speaking internationally. And I posted it on social media. And within 10 days, I was in another country speaking in Albania. 10 days. So when I say you got to have that passport, you got to have your Rolodex, there was somebody who I had met a year prior who invited me to an event, and I said I would support you, whatever you needed. She had an opportunity for me. She said, I've been watching you, and I've been waiting to give you this opportunity if you're ready to take it, but you got to take it in the next 10 days. And I said, oh my goodness. And I said, hey, you put it out there, you have to be ready. So a lot of times people are not, they say this is what we want, and then we get it, and then you're like, you want to back away from it. You got to stay ready. So this passport, normally I have it, let me see it right now. I usually have it in like arm's length distance, because if I need to go and somebody's like, there's an opportunity, I'm willing to go. I don't care if I have to take a bus, boat, plane, train, jet. I will be there, because what I understand is if I don't take these leaps of faith, there'll be somebody out there that won't be willing to do it. So I really want to encourage you, put yourself out there, set your intentions, do the steps that you need to take so that you can have those opportunities and take the action. Don't be afraid.
Okay, so you said like so many nuggets. Oh my goodness, I'm over here like geeking. But one of the most important things that stood out for me, because I'm the introvert, is that whole the live streaming and the consistency of live streaming, because that's really what opened up opportunities for me. Was that literally, you said it, you can show up and be in the house of somebody in all these different places. And I was able to connect with women in Pakistan and people down in Peru. And I literally, just from going live and pressing that go live button. And it was so scary because you didn't know who was going to show up. But guess what? That's where the opportunity came from.
Absolutely. And the key was to show up for yourself. And the one thing that we get nervous about is what people are going to think about us. What are they going to say? But a lot of times people are thinking the same exact thing. What are people going to say about us? What are they going to say? A lot of those things that we're nervous about or have insecurities about, other people have those same challenges too. So the key was to just be you. And somebody said, it's better to be the full 100% you than a diluted version of somebody else.
Yes.
And I saw that on like Instagram recently. It's not my quote. And I said, what? Wow. Be you. And the people who embrace their Yui-ness, I think Kim Cole says that the most, really stand out in the marketplace. They get the opportunities. And I'll tell you, taking a leap of faith. So another way that I got another international opportunity was I hosted an event in the United States. I hosted my conference, my first conference, the BCon, last year. And one of the attendees who was there was from South Africa. And she flew from South Africa to come to my conference. And I want you to know something. There's going to be people that live right 5 miles away from you, around the corner on the same block as you, who will not support you. But there are people who are destined and assigned to you that are 15 hours away, that are willing to get on 2 planes, buses, boats, and trains for you. Because I used to say that I'm going to get on a bus, boat, plane, and train. And then I saw people doing it for me, and I was like, wow, this is powerful. And she said, I want you to come to South Africa. And I'm thinking to myself, this lady then came all the way here for little old Shadé from Irvington, New Jersey. And now she's telling me, because she's been so inspired and impacted by what I was sharing, that I'm coming to South Africa. Now, let me say something. South Africa is not a cheap trip, okay? So I was like, oh, so that's another thing. If you're going to be doing international things, you cannot be footing the bill. So I was like, okay, I'm open to this. Let's negotiate. Let's have a conversation. And I didn't hear from her for a while. She's like, don't worry about it. We're getting it together. We're going to have all these people come to this conference. We got you covered. And to have them get a travel agent to pay for the flight, pay a per diem, pay for food, and pay for my lodging, and pay for everything. And I'm not coming out of pocket, and I'm flying 15 hours back there and back. And I'm just like, wow, your gifts really will make room for you. And I mean, that was my first time in South Africa. I've been to Africa before, but not South Africa. And I was just in shock and in awe. And the messages that we were sharing was about social media, the power of being in that room. And let me tell you, because they were running out of time, I only spoke for 15 minutes. 15 hours to speak 15 minutes. I still got paid. Everything was covered. I had a great time. It was at a casino. I had food. It was fantastic. 15 hours to speak for 15 minutes. So I need you guys to understand that there are people in other places that are looking for you. They're looking for your message. And one of the things that, if you're in the United States specifically, it's like an added advantage. Or, we have somebody from America coming. We have somebody, it gives them additional credibility and layers. And they have money. They have associations and organizations just like we have in the United States. And they're looking for new speakers. And they're looking to add some credibility to their brand and to their organizations by bringing in people from other countries. So they're looking for you. You have to just put yourself out there. And sometimes it's going to come from networking. I had no idea that hosting that conference would lead me into going to South Africa just about maybe 8 months later. Yeah, about 8 months, less than 5 months later, I was in South Africa. I had no idea. So the key is you got to be willing to put yourself out there and set your intentions about what you want.
That is amazing, because that's one of the scariest things when you put yourself out there in the beginning, because you're questioning yourself. You're questioning, your level of, can I really do this? Can I really pull this off? And sometimes we question, are we really worth it in the beginning? And you're just like, when that first person says, oh no, I'm going to take care of all your, everything's taken care of. You're like, are they talking to me? That everything's taken care of for me? It's an amazing feeling. And so as you move forward and go forward into speaking internationally, listen, you don't know where somebody is going to have you travel. You don't know where they're going to have you come. You don't know what they're going to have you speak about. And it's so, I always say that you can tell the fruits of an amazing speaker is somebody that can take their speech and be able to give it in whatever time frame you tell them they have.
Absolutely, because you never know. Sometimes they're going to be like, listen, you got 10 minutes. You got to do it. That happened to me. And everything was paid for. Flights were reimbursed, but this was in the US. And she was like, we don't got time. Because what happened, that event specifically, there was a celebrity from, reality television. And she had a flight to catch because she had to be somewhere else to speak. So our times got cut because we needed to expedite this process. But I was like, that's fine with me. And I went right before her. And that's another thing. You're going to start meeting other people on the speaker circuit. And I knew I wanted to form a connection with this person because I knew there were opportunities or other things that could possibly happen in the future. So I made sure that in my speech at that time, I was referencing her. And I was saying some of the things that she's doing. And so now I got 10 minutes to shine. And now I'm making an impression on her too. So I'm supporting the audience, making sure that I'm sharing powerful things with them. But I'm also making sure that this person of interest who I want to develop a relationship with is paying attention to me too. So you want to think about that for every speech and every opportunity, because you don't know who's in the audience that has another opportunity for you. There's always people watching. There's another lady who is like on a board of a major conference. And it's happening this year. And I wanted to get on her radar. And apparently I have got on her radar. And she was asking me something. I could not do it because I'm already speaking at an event that time. She was asking me to do something. And I said, well, please keep me posted on 2019. So being very intentional about who you're making connections with, expanding that Rolodex. Because there's people, even within the US, that can open up opportunities for you internationally that you don't even know exist. And when in doubt, I love what Cheryl Wood, if some of you know Cheryl Wood, and she's actually creating an international event. If somebody's not calling you to speak on the stadium, you create your own stadium. So you can easily, just like we do in the United States, go get a hotel, find some places, and create your own event in another country. You can do that. They have hotels. They got airports and planes and all kinds of things. And say, I'm setting an intention. I want to speak internationally. I want to speak in this country. Create your own stage. Who says you can't? You put it out there and you share that vision. And I guarantee you there's going to be other people who are interested in that vision. There are going to be other people who say, you know what? I want to do something internationally. It adds a different value and layer to your brand. I want to support people on an international stage. So I'm going to create it for myself. And you absolutely can. I can give, if we want to go into some tips and things that you want to do to make sure you protect yourself as you are traveling internationally, because that's super important too. What are some of my tips? Number one, make sure that your family, your friends, especially if you're not if you're not a travel-nista, make sure that you are alerting your family and friends of where you are and keeping contact. That is very important. Things do happen. So you want to make sure you're always keeping contact. Depending on the country, you want to know what the political climate is. You don't want to go somewhere and you're in the middle of a civil war. This is the reality. I lived in the Republic of Kazakhstan. Sometimes there were parts that were connected to Iran and Afghanistan that were more volatile. I was like hours away from there, but I had to keep my ears to the streets to make sure that I was safe. And if I had to leave, I know how to get to the airport. That's just a reality. Understanding like your documents, making sure that if you need a visa to get into the country, that you understand the rules and regulations, what you can and cannot do. If you're speaking in Dubai, you might not necessarily want to wear a mini skirt to your event. You might not want to wear a mini skirt. You might want to be a little bit more modest. So thinking about the locations that you're going to be speaking in and what the rules and regulations of that place are, making sure that you're aware and respectful of the people and understanding it's a different culture and what you bring to the table is valuable, but you want to respect their culture. And make sure if you need any shots, if you need to go to the doctor in advance, do that. If you're going to parts of like West Africa or even Southeast Asia, there's mosquitoes and you want to just make sure you're protecting yourself. But enjoy the experience. Don't be afraid to experience a new culture and new people. And then that gives you other opportunities to get more speaking engagements in the US too. Because now they're like, oh, she's too hot to trot. We need to make sure we get her on our stage because somebody else in somebody else's country might get her. So that elevates your brand perception because you're doing things internationally. That opens up new doors for you. That gives you new opportunities. And also another bonus nugget is to look for, I missed this opportunity because I got there late. And I didn't realize it was happening. Media opportunities. International media loves people from the US. So you can call them up, reach out to some people, have, an assistant VA, research some places. You could be on TV and doing tours. I had a colleague of mine, he was in the Philippines. He was on every television show, station. They just wanted to see somebody else who wasn't from that country on their TV. And I mean, I've been on international TV before and people will know. They're like, I saw you on TV last night. I was like, I was trying to hide, but you saw that. Oh my goodness. So it can happen. So look for those opportunities to see who you can connect with. And there's just people around the world that you are probably 1 to 2 degrees away from. So if you're going somewhere, ask, hey, do you know somebody who I can connect with? Always having an on-ground person is really, really helpful because they'll give you the real deal. They'll tell you what part of town to go to, which parts of town is kind of sketchy, where you can have events, how do you save money? Because a lot of times if you're doing like international things, they may give you the international price. So you want to make sure, if you have somebody on ground that can kind of give you some feedback, it'll make life so much easier and more pleasant. So, but it's all about that network, connecting with people who can have other opportunities for you.
And so it takes us into the next question that I'm going to ask you is, as being the international speaker, this journey has been a phenomenal one. I can only imagine. But have you had any blunders along the way that looking back, you're like, oh, that was a Homer moment. Like, oh.
I don't think it's happened internationally. I would say probably in the US, like, oh, no, I should have not. So that's another thing. When you're elevating your brand platform, you have to be more cognizant of what you say yes to and what you say no to. Because it's brand affiliation. Like, oh, Shadé's going to be here. Oh, this person's going to be here. So now they're leveraging your name, your brand, your audience, your fan base. So you want to make sure you're aware of what's going on. So sometimes I will just, if it's like a new event, like, okay, I'll do it. And then nothing is organized. I mean, nothing is together. It's just a mess. And you're like, oh my goodness, how did I get involved in this? So we have to make better decisions. And sometimes if I have a bad feeling about an event, it's probably a good chance that you just probably need to just exit stage left and remove yourself from that event. And the times that I've had that, a lot of times those events are the ones that got canceled, something happened. So it ended up not happening. So it was good that I listened to myself. So that's what I would say. I think I had that conversation with someone this week. They said you really have to be aware of the things you say yes to, the events, the programs, even digital events that you say yes to, because that's about brand alignment. And if you're looking to go to the next level or level up, like Sierra would say, you want to make sure that you're thinking about that. Who am I in alignment with? That's what this season is for me about. It's not about really doing a lot of events. I will be speaking at more places. But who do I want to be aligned with? Who are my partners? Who is in that Rolodex? Who is going to be, someone that I can refer clients to? So really start thinking about that part, because that will really help you figure out who you don't need to be connected to, because it's some crazy things out here in these internet streets.
That is definitely true. And it's that brand alignment will take you far. If you keep that in the forefront of your mind, that will take you far. It will also empower you to use that very powerful word of no.
Absolutely.
Because in the beginning, we say yes to a lot of things because we
want opportunities. Yes.
There it is. Yes. That's it. Yes. Give me that. I want to go everywhere. Send me everywhere. No, you don't want to go everywhere.
There's times where you have to say no. And there's times where I had to say no. Like even recently, I was supposed to be somewhere last week. And I was like, you know what? I'm bowing out. but I will be somewhere next week. I'm speaking on next Saturday. So you just got to figure out what you want for your life and the vision for your business and brand. And I'm just like, I turned 30 last month, and I'm just thinking more about this. Like, it's not about just being everywhere, every conference, every event, every speaking gig. It's not about just having a full calendar of things to do. It's about doing the right things that make the most sense for you today. That'll push you even further than you trying to do everything and be everywhere. So what is going to push the needle further? If that means that I'm saying yes to 2 events per month, and those events are paying way more than me saying yes to 4 events and they just saying, just come and sell books, then I don't need to do 4 events a month. If that means 2 events are going to produce the same amount of fruit or more, then that's what it, makes the difference. So I think people really have to think about that too.
Definitely. One of the things that I said to those who are watching us live was that be intentional. You definitely have to be intentional. The thing about it is in the beginning, when you start out as a speaker, you're thinking this is a side hustle. And that's like, that can be very dangerous, because when you're thinking of it as a side hustle, then you're always hustling, trying to get here and there. You're always hustling and you're not really planning.
Absolutely. And if you are, so I have worked with how many speaker coaches, specifically on speaking? 3. I would say 3.5, but specifically that's their thing that they do in the world. And I'll tell you, if you want to do speaking as a business, a full-time business, you cannot see it as a side hustle. You have to really be focused on your brand and your business of in the business of speaking and putting yourself out there. There's effort and energy that goes into the business of speaking. And I think a lot of people think, oh, it's just sharing my message and putting it out there. No, there's a whole game plan and focus. Right now, we're in the process of, I'm going to just literally hire 1 person on my team, because I've been neglecting this because opportunities have literally just been coming. I haven't been intentional about, okay, let's put the specific brand out there. Let's focus on this business. Let's focus on the business of speaking. I just haven't had the time because things just have been coming. So now I'm like, okay, we're going to hire 1 person on my team, and their whole job is to pitch me and get me opportunities, whether they're international, whether they're local. Because if I can hire somebody and they invest their time and energy only on my speaking part of my business, we can create a 6-figure revenue stream from just that. So that's what I'm looking at being in this season, more intentional. Instead of trying to be everywhere, let's pick the right places. How many speaking opportunities and at what price point does that need to be? That's 50 speaking gigs at $2,000, $2,500 if we can, increase 25. So now we're like, okay, you got to speak this amount of times per month to hit that goal. So it makes sense to just have 1 person focus on that. You'll make your ROI. So I'm just trying to encourage people and even clients, focus on one thing. Get this thing in order. Get your systems in order, have a team member focusing on that, make your money, and go from there. And then also, I would also say another thing that I want people to start thinking about is even corporate opportunities. Because those corporate opportunities are 5-figure checks. I've had clients who we've literally helped them negotiate those kind of contracts. The opportunities came their way because of their Rolodex and their expertise. And when they were negotiating, I said, oh, no. You're not going to ask for no $500 in a plate. Or you're not going to ask for, the offering. These people got money. So make sure you are pricing yourself accordingly. That's another golden nugget. There are people, price yourself accordingly. And especially another golden nugget, I keep getting these nuggets. If you're going internationally, you got to think about this. You have to think about how much time it is taking you to go. I had somebody who came to me. She was going to Dubai. She was thinking about going to Dubai to speak, but it didn't make sense. She was going to lose money by going because of the time it took to get there, the time it was going to take her to get back home, and the amount that they were paying her or not paying her. She was going to lose money. So if you're not just about, oh, I want to be in Dubai taking photos saying, hey, I'm speaking in Dubai, then that's one thing. That's a strategy. But if you're like, I need to be fiscally responsible, then you need to make sure that it makes fiscal sense for you and your business. Because it ain't just about speaking internationally or speaking on a big stage. There has to be an ROI. So that's super important too as you're speaking. And every opportunity just ain't worth you doing it. I hate to tell you that, but every opportunity is not.
No, that's like, I'm sitting here and I'm like shaking my head like, yes, that's it right there. And I've come across so many who are in the beginning stages, or some of them have actually been speaking for a while and they don't get that part.
You got to have a deadline on it. You can do some free speaking opportunities and put a limit on it. I have met my 3 or my 2 speaking free minimum for the year. Or, you do an assessment. Like if Oprah tells me to come somewhere, I'm going. I don't care how much it is. I don't care I'm going. Whatever happens is totally worth the opportunity. I'm going to be there. Oprah, yes.
Yes.
Okay, Beyonce, you need me to speak to the kids? No problem, Beyonce. I will be there. You need me to be there tonight? You need me to be there tomorrow? No problem. So of course, be flexible for the opportunities when it makes sense. But know that you got to be fiscally responsible too.
Definitely. So it's a strategy. It's a plan. It's not, just get up and go. And it's also, now this is the part that's going to hurt a little bit. And you guys that have been following the Speak Easy podcast, you know that I'm very transparent. Is the other piece is you got to be very transparent about what it is you actually know and can do. Don't put yourself on a platform because you're looking at the dollars and cents and it's not really a platform that you're ready for, because you end up doing more damage than good.
Absolutely. Honor your genius and stay in that genius. So it was a stretch for this conference that I was in South Africa, because it was for like accounting executives or something. They were like accountants. And I was like, I'm not an accountant, but I can still leverage my expertise of digital media and social media. Social media didn't change. And I stayed in my lane, and they asked me, what are some of your projections about U.S. business and something? I was like, that's not what I do. And I had to be okay when I was in the classroom teaching kids. The first thing I was nervous about was these kids are going to be smarter than me. They're going to know things I don't know, and I'm going to be dumb. They're going to feel like I'm dumb. And I some days I would say, okay, I don't know this. We got to Google it. And some of that I had to be honest and say, I don't have an answer for this, but this is what I do know based on my expertise. You just leverage what you already know. So what I do know about business, and this is one of the questions that they talked about, which was really important about South Africa. This is a challenge across the continent of Africa. I'm talking about social media. They need to be live streaming and doing all this. And they're like, well, Shadé, half of us don't have internet. You're telling me I need to do this. And that's a part of the privilege of being in the United States, where 85% of the United States, 90% have at least one mobile device, and 85% have 2. So I had to check my privilege when they were like, ma'am, you're telling us to do, and even in Albania, the same situation. And I said, well, listen, this is what I understand. I'm talking in emerging markets, but the facts don't change. You guys might be 5 years behind on this. I'm telling you what's going to happen in the future. It's not going to change. So I had to be adamant. It was a check, but I had to be adamant about this. Like, listen, digital media, social media, internet is not going anywhere. All that's going to happen, and you need to be proactive right now as a business leader in this country, is understand that when more internet access is being available to the people in your country, you want to be ahead of the curve. And you've already seen what's happened in the US, in London, and Europe, in Australia. So you are getting this information that you're going to be able to use now that's going to be relevant in your country 3 to 5 years from now. So you have the opportunity to be the leader at the forefront of this. This is the same conversation I had 2 years ago or even 3 years ago on Periscope. I told people that live streaming was going to change the game. It was going to be an industry disruptor. And I said, you got an opportunity to be at the forefront, or you can be left behind as a laggard at the end. But this curve is happening. So that's how I had to kind of do that. And I was familiar with, not having internet access and things like that. My family is from Ghana. So I understand, I lived in a developing country. So I understand that I lived in a developing country. So I got that. But it still didn't change what I was saying. You still need to, and then I told them, there were older people, and they're like, well, I don't want to do this. And I said, okay, guess what? Find somebody like me who will do it for you. That way you don't have to worry. But I can't allow you to come in my presence and me to not share these golden nuggets with you, because it's going to impact your business as we have more people investing in emerging markets that want to learn this stuff. So that's what I want you guys. Be cognizant of what's happening in that country. Be aware of the things, because those kind of comments will come up. But you got to be adamant about your expertise and really own and stand in it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so I love ending on that part, because you've become very, very, very adamant about your expertise. I've not seen Shadé travel into any other lane. I've seen her stay in her lane. And it's been a powerful experience, because you get to see all the lives that are being changed because of it. That's one of the things that if you stay consistent in what it is that's your expertise, you literally will see lives changed. Not only will you see your life change, but you'll also see the lives of other people changed along the way. And so I want to say, if nobody else has said it, I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the women's lives that you have changed and touched, and, continue to keep pressing. I know that you've been doing everything with school and everything like that, so it seems like a lot. Just continue to keep pushing forward, because there are so many other people that definitely need you. And I'm still going to be on the sidelines cheering you on. Before we went live today, I told her, I said, I'll be on the sidelines like, go Shadé, go Shadé.
I love it. I love it. I want her to be on the front lines, the sidelines. You need it. You need it in this space. So
yes, indeed.
Every day entrepreneurs want to quit, because I know there's a couple of times, at least last week, I was like, or even last month, I was like, oh, I'm over this. It's easier to get a job. So thank you so much. People need those words of encouragement.
Definitely. So tell everybody how they can get in contact with you, and where to find you on social media as well.
Absolutely. So we can stay connected at, I have a free gift from shade.com. My name is spelled like Shade, blame my mama. And you can have 17 ways to market your brand online. I am at Future Dr. Shade across social media, and I do have a Facebook group, and you guys can just connect with me there. I'm across the internet. Please feel free to say hey, and I would just love to connect with you. If you need some support with your brand, as a speaker, as a thought leader and expert, I would love to support you.
And so, guys, today's message was literally all about you taking your message and making it international, making it literally, we know that if you are an author, you are a speaker, you're also an entrepreneur. I beat that into you guys every episode, because I want you to know that there's a plan, there's a strategy, and you get to see those who are actually getting it done on a regular basis. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that it's going to be without its bumps and bruises and stumbling blocks, but it's definitely doable. So never think that it's not doable. And for those of you that are speakers and authors, I want to hear your journey as well. So don't forget that if you go to bit.ly/speakeasy podcast, all lowercase, you can definitely come and be a guest here on the podcast. I would love to have you. That part. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.